Hello, everyone. Hi there. My name is Samantha Garcia. I am a performer here in Chicago, and I'm so excited to get to spend the evening here interviewing a really fun, interesting person. I am here with Nelson Diaz-Marcano. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are, of course, a writer and a consultant, a producer. You wear so many hats and do so many things. I'm very excited to get to talk to you here today. The reason that we are coming together is because Random Acts Chicago is going to be producing a virtual version of your play, The Diplomats. So I guess I want to start off with asking you, what was your inspiration for that particular script?
I guess it was, growing old in general, I was just starting to hit my 30s when I wrote that script. And I feel like it was both experiencing for the beginning. At the beginning of your 30s, you start experiencing like the losing of friendships and like people that you love, the people getting older in general. And I think I was just thinking of those feelings a lot, just being in them. And then 2016 happened, then Trump won. And I remember walking the streets of New York City and at 3 a.m. I actually left the bar around 10 p.m. because I kind of knew he was going to win. And I went home and I went to sleep. And for some reason, I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I decided to walk and I saw a lot of people crying. And I remember just thinking that moment how many people I've seen on my feed and people that I would never want to talk again or that I knew didn't think this could be something terrible, which now 4 years later we realize how terrible it actually was.
Mhm.
I guess it was an exploration of what friendships are, relationships are at the same time that something so catastrophically divisive happened. And I wrote it within 5 days. I sat down and I just needed to write about this. And I thought about my experience in college. I thought about things I had said before, things that when I came to the United States, I ended up assimilating. I made jokes that were very offensive and things like that. But instead of trying to say no, I didn't do those things, I went to explore it, and this is where the diplomats came from. How we grow, what we decide to do when we grow, and which values we keep.
I thought it was really wonderful because I know I have definitely dropped friends for way less than voting for Trump. So I'm just like, oh, I found myself really being curious as to the various motivations between these characters for continuing to even try to have a conversation. Because as I've also gotten older, I have certainly found myself having similar thoughts of just like, the people we were in college is literally not the people we are now. And if I met those people now, I'd be like, goodbye. We don't need to. So I thought that was a really fun exploration to see around something that, yes, is clearly very divisive, and as it should be.
Yeah, people in general, it's hard to cut toxic relationships when you go away from your house. You know, like you create your own family. So when you create where your friends become family, it's kind of harder. And I also believe that breaking up friendships is as hard as a breakup, a romantic breakup. I'm still crying friends that I stopped talking like 3 years ago. Like I think about jokes I want to make with them or somebody or something that they will get, and it's like it's like my ex, like all of a sudden my high school sweetheart, which is we haven't been together for like 15 years now, but it's all of a sudden like that feeling of breakup again. I was like, oh, I suffered them more than I suffer most of my relationships. But that's what people do not explore themselves too much. It's like what is the relationship to their friends and what does it mean? It's a friendship comes in phases too. It's like it could be a friend for the moment. It could be a friend that will be family. It could be a lifetime friend, or it could be somebody that I'm going to grow old with. That phrase is very important because most of the time we don't grow old. We're romantic people. We grow old. We are friends. And and I think that's why in the diplomats I didn't want to bring any romantic relationship really between the three of them. I wanted to really be about it because it's hard to break up with a friend because you always wish they will be better. And then, at one point you realize you cut it a month later, you're like, oh, wow, that was a good idea. But it's really hard to take that step. It's really hard to take that step. But believe me, people, if just take it. Sometimes you take it, you're going to feel very good.
I also like the idea that these characters seem to like be apart from each other and then kind of find their way back to each other. Like they mentioned that there were years of time when they didn't speak to each other and still managed to have a connection and a conversation, which I thought was really lovely.
A lot of people do not text when they feel it. I will say text, call, just do it. Most of the time, it's not that people will be like, oh, why are they texting? Most of the time, lives are busy. Don't lose a friendship because you get too busy to say hi from time to time. So I think that's something that I always think about the people. It's like you always get back to those that you truly love because ultimately you hope that always stays the same. It's like a safety net. It's like comfort food. And I really feel that Trump took away that comfort food for a lot of us. Because we could be politically against each other before. But this was beyond political. It was humanitarian. It was about who we were. And
Hmm.
ultimately, taking a choice the other way would mean that I don't feel comfortable around you. So, yeah, I think it's just an exploration of that. It's an exploration of what kind of family you create and how you get back to it.
I do want to ask, since we are now, in the today times of not being able to be in the same room with each other and everything, what are you hoping to see, or what do you think that might change now that the play is going to be presented virtually as opposed to in person?
Well, the chicken moment.
Yes.
That and there's one moment that's very physical. Is that but it's funny because I was thinking about it, and it's such a play that would have been done. I could have done that play. Not, well, I mean, I guess today too with the same teams, and they could have just been on a Zoom meeting themselves, just trying to reunite. Most people reunited. A lot of people reunited through Zoom.
Hmm.
I reunited with friends that I hadn't seen in years, mostly because they were like living in Africa now, or like one of them is living in like West Africa. I forgot what country he's living, but he's living in West Africa. I haven't talked to him in like 10 years. We talked. So I feel like it'll be very interesting to see how technologically the emotions and the tension is felt. But I'm also extremely interested to see the connections through digitally because I think this play sells itself very much to this medium too. So I must be the only theater person or playwright that has been excited about this whole Zoom thing because I feel
Really?
it has. Oh yeah, I believe that it has put us on our toes to stop thinking about so much what other people can do for us and what can we do. And became more a DIY. People started becoming much more technically savvy. Like most people didn't even know how to do Zoom at the beginning. Now people that didn't know how to edit a video of 3 minutes are editing like full-length plays, like and to film. They're really creating films. You guys are probably creating a film, and that's the thing. It's like we're so many of us are living this thing. Yeah, like we feel better because this was like a war against, and it's still going. But when we get out of this, there's so many skills that so many of us have gotten out
Hmm.
of this. Like if anything, we are preparing for whatever comes next. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this keeps going and how it keeps growing. I think any development of how to do theater is great. Take us off the stages. Sometimes it's better. Let's go back outside. Let's go back to natural. Let's go back doing it on the park. Theater is
Yeah.
much more than a stage, and I love that we've been forced to see it again. We have to change. We have to evolve. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're ever gonna get out of the stages, but there's so much more to theater than just the proscenium, just the black box, just whatever building we're in. It's not a building, it's whatever performance we do.
I also want to ask about how this pandemic that we're all living through, how has that affected your writing projects now and going forward?
I'm more busy now than I was before. I've been way
Really?
busier since the start. Yeah, I actually took a break last year because my mother passed, and I was just going through it, and
Hmm.
I couldn't write not for some reason. I know the reason I couldn't write. It's not that I wasn't blog. It's just that my head wasn't there to create a well thought script. But I was getting better, in a better mood. So when this pandemic hit and everybody was going down, I was going up. I was working at the Atlantic Theater Company. I was doing all these things. So my mood was getting better. So when this went down, I'm the literary manager for the Latinx Playwright Circle here in New York City, and I just created a space for a group for all these Latinx artists to start meeting in there, share pages, and just talk. And that has become now a bi-weekly meeting that we have. Many of the scripts that we developed there have going to be developed other places. One of them actually is going to become a Hulu TV show, and that happens because some of us had the energy, and we found a space to be like, hey, for those of you who don't have the energy, come here. And that actually has gotten my writing in a better mood. Like I was the happy recipient of the Travel Studio Theater Sloan Commission this year, and I wrote that play, and it was received. I have a few plays that right now in development. You guys are doing the Diplomats, which is a show that I love so much, and I've written 2 full lengths so far, and I'm finishing my third one right now, and I'm hoping to write a TV pilot. So I feel like the pandemic just gave me a lot. I'm about to become a father, so I'm also on a deadline. I'm trying to wait. Yeah, he's coming on February 3rd. My kid is assigned at birth. Sex is going to be male. So he's coming in February. So I'm trying to write everything possible in the next 2 months.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
after that, I want to dedicate like the first 2-3 months of his life to just him. So,
Mhm.
so I'm writing a lot. This pandemic actually just gave me the time to do it.
Wow, that's very exciting. That's so wonderful. Just like
Thank
this
you.
beautiful silver lining around this otherwise just like stormy mess of nonsense, but to be able to find so many ways to thrive and continue to grow is really inspirational, honestly.
I guess like many people have fallen, and depression does fall in my family, but I was always of the thought that nothing has ever been given to me, and nothing has ever is ever going to be great all the time. Like I have happy moments in my life. I'm happy most of the time, even on the saddest moments, because hell, if I'm gonna do this thing called life every day, if I'm gonna wake up, then I better like let myself feel whatever it is. And I think that when I'm sad, I let myself feel sad. When I'm happy, I let myself feel happy. And I realize that all of them are connected to each other. And I let myself be either guided by my ancestors, I let them guide me to whatever it is, or I just find a way of where I can take that energy, not ignore what the feeling I have now, not ignore the problem that is bringing me down, but focusing that energy that instead of dwelling there and trying to swim in this pool of sadness, to do something positive with that energy, or like write something, or talk to a friend, or like, I don't know, or not write anything, or go outside for a walk.
Yeah.
But it's just like constantly, and I don't say that everybody has to hustle all the time, but for me, it's a constant, not search for happiness, but a constant search of not running away from whatever I am, or whatever I'm feeling. And I think that keeps me happier in a lot of increments of time, because I don't spend much time with a problem. I never spend that much time with a problem. And I think that's like the first thing that I'm going to teach my kids is like, don't ever spend too much time with a problem. A problem is as long as you keep it there, just solve it. As soon as you can, just try to solve it, or at least find a way. I'll create a path where you can solve it, but don't let it ruin your day.
Oh, I like that. I enjoy that.
I have this video now to remind me that this is the first lesson I'm gonna give him. It's probably not gonna be it, and he's gonna see this video 20 years later, and he's gonna be like, "Damn, Dad, you never told me that." I was like, "My bad."
You're like, well, goals sometimes they adapt.
2 months later, I changed my mind. Okay.
Yes.
I can always change my mind.
Who are your inspirations as a writer?
I would say that when I was younger, it was people like film people like Francis Ford Coppola, Scorsese. It was the directing style that showed me how to visually be able to arrest people's attention. As a playwright, because when we are educated here, it's mostly the white canon. I would say that even then, Edward Albee was the first playwright. I remember reading all the Albee minutes. I was cool with it. I was like, oh my God, all these plays are fun, are great. But I remember reading the True Story and being like, oh wait, I'm not trying to curse right now, but like, you can fuck that up like that? You can really destroy theater like this? And I was like, you know what? Perfect, let's do it. Let's just do it. And then I just got obsessed with absurdism and then Samuel Beckett and all that. And but that created a problem for me, because then I started not writing white, but as much as I tried to not write about my heritage. I started not that I didn't want to, but I wasn't exploring it. And then it was years later that I started exploring my heritage, and little by little I started getting into more writers, into decolonizing my mind, my brain. Pinheiro, Mariana Fornes started becoming some of my favorite writers. And honestly, like, my favorite writers, Stephen Alligergis too, also another writer that I have mad respect for. And showed me that I could, like, my language was okay too, because his language was the first time I was like, oh, hell yeah, I can talk like this. My biggest inspirations are my contemporaries, like Frankie Gonzalez with Even Flowers Bloom in Hell, like Valerie Kaiman with Beef and Honey, Andrew Rincon with, and this is the name of the play, with I Wanna Fuck You Like Romeo and Juliet, like Inda Craig Garvan with like Welcome to Madison. There's so many incredible playwrights right now out there, new playwrights constantly showing us how great it is, like Christine F. Cato, who's doing a play with us called Sancocho, which is amazing. Like, there's so many great playwrights out there, and I'm constantly inspired by just working with them, helping them develop their play, them helping them develop my play, or like just trying to meet them, or if I don't know them, just to read them and see what they're trying to like mess up, because we're all trying to do something else, you know. So something new. So like, I'm more inspired by the people that are alive, and we're trying to create a new canon based on the people that got forgotten, like Mariana Fornes and Pinheiro, because those are our canons. So yeah, I'm inspired by that. But also like amplify the voices that are already there. Don't try to just always look for the new blood. Like, think about the people that are always there.
Yeah, that's something I find that I struggle with myself a little bit, of being like, but I want what's mine. Where's my space? But also being like, but this other person's actually doing it way better than I. Can I help them get even better?
Uplift those people. Like, learn from those people. Like, they will guide you there. You know, it's just a matter of like trusting those people. Your contemporaries are not your rivals.
Well, I love that you're here messing stuff up, pushing us forward, making it happen. Which
I mean, always. I mean, I'm fucking things up, but I just don't want to say it too much. So I was just so.
Well, we're getting close to the end of our time here, but I want to bring it back to the Diplomats, which of course Random Acts Chicago is going to have their version of the Diplomats available this weekend. So I want to ask, do you think that there could be a version of the Diplomats that takes place in 2020, like right before this election that just occurred?
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of people were still incredulous about it. I don't think we like to think that a lot of America learned. I don't think most of America learned. I think we became more individualistic and more selfish. Actually, a lot of us became versions of ourselves that were not very likable. Even like being outspoken, most of the time, out of our energy, we're always negatively fighting something that was negative, you know. And like a lot of us fought negativity with negativity because that was the only option that was given to us. I always been into politics, but it was one of those things that I would be like, hey, I hear the news in the morning, and then I'll check maybe once during the day and say, oh, what's happening in politics? And I spent the last 4 years refreshing to see what this guy did. What kind of trouble are we getting into now? Like, what are we doing? What kind of Latinx culture? What kids are in cages? What are they doing now? Where can we go? Who are all my people is free, you know? And seeing my black siblings getting attacked constantly, which not news. It has happened since the day I was here, since the day I came in 2003. It happened way before that. But like the fact that we knew about it, the fact that it's been talked about, the fact that it went mainstream like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That Eric Garner happened and people were surprised when George Floyd did say the same words and died for far longer time. People were surprised. We didn't learn anything in the last 4 years. So I could have written this play yesterday. And people have been, oh my God, you have permission to change it. Put 2020 in there. Who cares? It's the same shit. People are being in the same cycle. And this is, I was like, it's the same shit. I say this to Republicans. Well, no, you're a Republican. You went for I have no respect for you. But I say this to liberals and Democrats too. Like, you didn't learn nothing, bro. Like, you were celebrating here that Biden, the most centrist person, isn't there. That we were left with no choice. That we are back to status quo before Obama. Like, I don't know. There's a lot that we have to learn. I think there's a lot of place to grow, and I am excited to see what Gen Z is gonna do. I'm excited to see what those kids in the future is gonna do a lot. But it bothers me that this play is still relevant. I wrote this 4 years ago, hoping that it will not be relevant today.
When I read this play, I was literally like, "This is supposed to be about 2016, but this is." I feel like I had this conversation with someone yesterday.
Yeah, well, you know what? Not irrelevant, because I don't want my work to be irrelevant, but a period piece. You don't have to think about that it's a change. Like, it's more of an exploration of a time instead of like an open wound that keeps on bleeding.
I feel like this is something that we've sort of talked about a little bit already. We've touched on, but what do you hope that audiences take away from this play?
This is hard for me to say, because I'm like very strong on my social justice and my anger toward a lot of the Trump supporters and believers of just the MAGA cult. It hurts a lot, but I would say that, and this is gonna get me canceled. I would say that there's a path to redemption, and you don't have to forgive. There's people that are far gone, but there's people that are just confused, and there's people that are like wounded animals. They're just attacking back. It's hard for me to say because it's hard for me to see it that way. But I know at one point we have to understand that, yeah, there's the Harvey Weinstein, the Bill Cosby's, and the people like that are just unforgivable. But then there's other people that, in our anger, we decide to cut out our lives, and for good reason. But life keeps going. Your life is long. They say life is short. Life is long, and the only thing we have is like the things we build with other people. Not whatever the fuck you leave materialistic. My work, great, but like if my work wasn't seen by the people I love and respect, it would have been nothing. And I say that if there's a path to redemption with a person, look for it. When you see this play, just realize that we all come from a lot of complicated backgrounds. We come from a lot of complicated lives, and that America has been a flawed, terrible experiment for a long time, and it hasn't affected just the obvious people. It has affected a lot of people. The MAGA cult is educational genocide being seen the results of what our terrible educational system has done. So it's just a matter of realizing that America is an experiment that is new. It has been corrupted, and it needs to be, it's not fixed, but it needs to put it on a path to redemption itself. But the only way to do it is community. That's the American dream. It's the community you create. So like, bring your community, find the community, strengthen the community, educate your community, make sure to like enrich it. And that's it.
And mess things up sometimes, yeah.
Yep.
Well, Nelson, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Friends at home, of course, RandomX version of The Diplomats will be available streaming starting November 26th through December 7th, and proceeds are going to go to benefit Brave Space Alliance. So everyone, donate and see this incredible production. It's a fabulous, fabulous play, and I'm really excited to get to see it and to have been able to talk to you with here today. I guess everybody, yeah, take care of yourselves out there. Mess some stuff up. Yeah, let's do this.
Just fuck it up.
Brave Space Alliance is the first Black-led, trans-led LGBTQ center located on the south side of Chicago. Learn more or get involved at bravespacealliance.org.